Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though.
PSGL, George Morgan here and Jack Canat. All the lights are currently lit here on track, and it is go, go, go! Denoso with a crafty maneuver up the inside. Masterclass from the Chilean.
Crucial championship points on offer here.
Judo countdown, Danny Berezne.
Longe has done the job. This is for the win between these two.
Freddie Rasmussen wins the United States Grand Prix.
Alfie Butcher wins for the first time ever. Lucas Blakely takes the championship. It's Barry Foreman.
Jarno Opmeer is your champion.
evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to PSGL here for round number 10 of the F4 Championship on the PlayStation tier. My name is, of course, Michael Edwards, going to be taking you through the action. And joining alongside me in the commentary box is the one is Yoni, is Mr. Danny Quinn. Quinn, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm feeling really good, of course. We will be racing here today at a Templar Speed Monza, and of course we apologise for not being able to make it last time out, but we are here once again. And yeah, by the looks of it, the championship is just starting to hot up, both on the drivers and the constructors side.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, we're going to have a peek at what happened in Belgium, which unfortunately we wasn't able to to get live for you guys, but it was Mikela who ended up taking victory with the fastest lap, so 17 points in the bag for him. And Sergio also picking up some good points there in P2, and you'll see what that does to the championship in just a moment's time. Alpha Kevin came through to complete the podium with Ismail in fourth, Dennis in fifth, a good result for him. Sixth place went to Boyolulu. Santiro came in seventh, Kevin in eighth, Betsky in ninth, and then Solax then completing the top 10. And the big name out of the points was, of course, the championship leader, which was Soapbox. And let's have a look and see what that does to the Drivers' Championship. So as you can see, now only 12 points separate the top two, as Soapbox in the past two races at Mexico and Belgium has dropped significantly. And Sergio has absolutely... He's absolutely nailed the last two races, obviously with a victory in Mexico and obviously the P2 in Belgium. He is now only 12 points off the top, closing that gap down when we thought it was pretty much all in Soapbox's hands.
Yeah, he's been really consistent over the last few races, and if he can continue this on and Soapbox not be able to, pick it up, then it could be spelling disaster for Soapbox heading into the last few races of this season.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely could be. But looking outside of the battle between Sergio and Soapbox, obviously Boyolulu has now jumped himself up into a P3 with a sixth place finish last time out in Spa. Mikela, who of course has only been here for the past 3 rounds. He made his debut in round 7 for this season at Jeddah. He's picked up 2 victories so far, and he's already jumped himself into P4 in the championship. He is 28 points off of Soapbox, but never say never. Could Mikela really close that gap down and put himself in the championship challenge?
I mean, getting 2 victories after only being here for such a short amount of time and putting yourself in P4 is a big achievement for Mikela. And of course, you can't look past him really. If he can continue his form, he could be right in the battle coming the end of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, Alpha Kevin in P5 with, of course, Ismail in 6th place on 40 points. 38 points for Manlike in 7th place. And, of course, we've got Santiro in 8th on 36 points. 32 points for Reese in 9th. Jorish was unfortunately left the season. He is on 27 points in 10th place. Tied with Lorenzino in 11th. Also on 27 points. Then 24 points apiece for the McLaren, the Sem, and ASRT Kevin. Federico, unfortunately, has also left the season. He's in 14th on 19 points. Then 15 points apiece for Sam and Dennis in 15th and 16th place, respectfully. And then, of course, Fleddy, who has also left. Niels in 18th on 10 points. Solax in 19th place on 9 points. And, of course, we've got 6 points for Tio, 5 points for Alex Gamer. Lundo on 4 points. Same with Sam Van Marazin. Then, of course, we've got Betsky on 3 points. Gravroach on 2 points, who has unfortunately left the season. And then, of course, Mentor Salas Reserve, who is not on any points right now. And, of course, Snipes, who has also left the season. And looking at the constructors, because Mikela and Sergio's performance in the past couple of races, it has meant that those two as a duo for the Aston Martins have really taken a hold of the constructors. They now lead by 27 points.
Yeah, they've been doing excellent in these last few races. And if their past form, well, their form leading up to this race is anything to go by, then it should definitely continue for the rest of the season.
Yeah, absolutely, and we will come back. We're getting the first of our fast laps coming in right now from Man Like as he comes through the Retafilio chicane. So we're coming on board with him just as he comes through turn number 1 and number 2. Now through Curva Grande, turn 3. Heading down in towards the De La Rocha chicane, where if you take too much of that inside curb on both of the curbs, actually, it can really unsettle the car and chew you up and spit you out. But he gets through it there very well, does Man Like. Now coming through turn number 6 and 7, the Lesmos, good speed there from Man Like. DRS wide open now as we run down in towards the next braking zone, which is the infamous Ascari chicane. And we're going to see what Man Like is going to do by year 52.2 in the middle sector. Keeps it all valid and all in check, but takes a little bit too much of that inside curb on the exit. Might just unsettle them and cost them a little bit of time as we run down in towards Parabolica, the final corner on the circuit. Throws the car in 6th gear. Man Like now coming to the line. What's it going to be for Man Like? So the line will come, and it's going to be a 118.9 to get underway here in proceedings.
Yeah, it's a very good lap there from Man Like. The Sergio absolutely blows out of the water. Nearly 4.5 tenths improvement on Man Like's lap. And something I was just going to mention is that going through turn 1 and 2, the Retafilio chicane, it's changed drastically in real life. Of course, it won't have. Not changed in game, but hopefully for the next game it'll be more accurate to real life, and it'll be interesting to see how people deal with that. Of course, it's going to be more of a traditional chicane rather than a high speed, well, a relatively high speed chicane here.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what happens when that is adapted. We're on board with ASRT Kevin, who crossed the line does a 19.2. And we've got our first few laps have come in right now. Ismo about to get his lap underway. A little bit out of sync with the rest of the field is Ismo. Same with Solax as well. So we're going to see how those two get on. I believe Alpha Kevin, Lunlo and Dennis all invalidate on their laps. So we're going to stay on board with Ismo as he runs down in towards the Retafilio chicane. Looking for the break-in around about 125 meters out from the corner itself. Gets through the first chicane, absolutely lovely. Now, Curva Grande, keeping it nice and tight on the inside, minimizing the distance to the next braking zone, which is of course the De La Rocha chicane. Braking down at around about 100 meters out, throwing the car in 3rd gear, taking a little bit of the inside curve in there. So, see, has a bit of confidence on that inside curve as we head through the Lesmos now. Through Lesmo 1 and now in towards Lesmo 2. And Lesmo 2 is definitely where I think a lot of drivers are going to be taking arguably different lines through the Lesmo, because it is all about trying to get the best exit possible. So we'll see some drivers just taking alternative lines and that. Maybe opting for more of a tighter line through there to minimise the corner, and some will be running as far wider to maximise the track as possible.
Yeah, definitely. In my personal opinion, I try to stay as tight to the apex as I can to minimise the turning, but Ismail, a 19.5, 1 second, nearly a second of Sergio's time. So it's got a lot of ground to make up, and of course we do have Solax here, who I believe is on a lap. Just going through the Ascari chicane, and he's spun. He's in the wall, but it seems like he's still going.
Yeah.
Can't quite see. Yeah, he is still going.
He is still going, but unfortunately for Solax, took too much of that inside curb coming through Ascari, and
it might still be. Sorry to cut you off, but it might still be good for him to cross the line to give him a delta for when he does his next lap, because just having that delta, I feel, gives you confidence, but he's not going to be able. He's choosing not to.
Yeah, I mean, as you were saying, having that delta definitely would have helped him, especially in the first 2 sectors, because, I mean, yeah, you got to think that the first 2 sectors, he definitely would have been there or thereabouts in terms of pace as Santero there, just exceeding track limits, so not ideal for him. We're going to go on board with the man that has been here for the past 3 races, 2 wins and a 3rd place finish, Mikela. We're going to see what he can do as he's about to get his lap underway as he starts his 2nd lap. He's currently in 4th place on 19 flat is Mikela, and we're going to see if he's going to be able to get himself up the order as he comes down now into the Retafilio chicane, breaking a little bit later than what we've seen so far, so maybe that'll gain him a little bit of time. He got the car stopped very well indeed, and no lockups there for Mikela. Through Curva Grande he comes now and heads to the 1st sector split to see what the split is going to say for him. He's marginally down on his 1st sector split as we come through the Della Rocha chicane, and just a little bit too wide on the exit, gets caught under the gravel and losing the back end there is Mikela.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for Mikela, but just going to go on board with Man Like now, as he's just going down into the Ascari chicane, just going through the DRS zone under the old track, the old Monza track. He is about 2 tenths down on his time. Yes, it nicely turned in and rides the curb on all of the exits of the Ascari chicane. Well, he was 2 tenths down on his previous lap, so he did just touch the grass there. I think he's going to dive into the pits. Yes, he is.
On board with
Sergio
in the end.
Sergio is just going on a fast lap and he's improving. What time will it be for Sergio? 1:18.2. I don't think he has to go out again.
What a lap from Sergio right there. I've just hopped on board with Sam, currently P3. Good qualifying for Sam thus far. He's just come through the Ascari chicane. He's a bit down on his previous lap time, so we're going to see if he can find any time out there. Boyo Lulu pops up into P2 with an 18.9, so getting himself ahead of Man Like there. Sam bumped down to P4, to the line will come EVE Sam, and he goes up into P2, so he found the time in the final sector. Did Sam gets himself onto the front row provisionally for right now. Kevin, ASRT Kevin, on the lap right now, same with Alpha Kevin, but we're going to go over with ASRT Kevin, who's nearly 2 attempts up on his lap as he comes through the Ascari chicane. A little bit too deep on the entry, we definitely would have compromised him a bit on the exit, and honestly, when it comes to the Ascari chicane, you really need absolute pinpoint accuracy when you're throwing your car in through there.
Ooh. He just touched the grass on the entry to Parabolica and he's lost all the time that he gained and he's into the pits. Just looking at Alpha Kevin now, as I'm pretty sure he was about a 10th up going through the 1st sector. Nicely turned in, touched the grass a bit. That might have lost him a bit of time as he decides to bail into the pits. And now we've got, I believe, Luno's on a lap. Unless Ismail. That'll be Sam who's on an in lap. But Luno's going to be the next person to set a lap time here. Didn't quite see what his Sector 2 split was, but on the way down to the Parabolica, seeing a lot of people turn in hard, the initial turn in. For Luno, it's a bit more smoother, so he can carry a bit more speed through. Chooses to take a tighter line, takes shortest line to the finish, and it's a 1:18.8.
Yeah.
Very good lap there from Luno.
Yeah, I guess him up in the P3. Solax at 52.8 in the middle sector. That is a little bit off of what we've seen so far in regards to those at the front. But Solax will just be hoping he can just get a lap time on the board at this point. Same with Santero as well in behind him. But we'll stay on board with Solax for the time being as he comes through Parabolica. Runs wide on the exit, and that's an invalidation there for Solax. So it is not going well for Solax thus far. Santero on the run down now in towards Parabolica. Yet to get a lap time on the board. Will this be the lap for Santero as he locks up the front right, comes through the final corner, and to the line he'll come to see if it's going to be up there P6 for Santero.
Yeah, it's very good. Of course, his Sector 2 split was quite competitive. with Sam, but he just lost a bit of time with that lockup going into Parabolica, and could have easily seen him on the second row.
Well, I mean, right now, let's go. Looking at the chat real quick, Pete saying Dennis is going to cook you. Of course, Dennis out of qualifying at this moment in time. He's going to be starting from 14th place. We got Mateo, PSGL reigning F1 champion on the PlayStation tier in the chat saying Sergio, the Sergio guy should get a promotion. Potentially. I mean, right now he is second in the championship, and recently his form has been incredible. A couple of podium finishes for him, and we'll see how he gets on for the rest of the season. Man like though to the line, and we are going to see if Man like can get himself up the order. P3 for Man like as he improves by a 10th and a half, goes up into P3 at 118.8.
Yeah, just Felix one coming up to the line. It will be second place for Felix. Or 118.7.
Yeah, absolutely. And Soapbox, the championship leader, almost half a second up on his time. He's 4.5 tenths up on his lap time thus far. So this will get him there or thereabouts as he goes up onto the front row. The championship protagonist now lock out the front row is Sergio, the man that's been on fine form as of late. Soapbox, the championship leader, who needs to bounce back here. That gap in the championship has come down quite considerably over the last two races, and he definitely needs a big result here.
Yeah, I'm just on board with Sergio as he's coming on to the second sector split. And he is about 1.5 tenths down, but it's still a purple, but he does invalidate through. He does invalidate, but yeah, he's just, even without the invalidation, it still would have been, well, you can't say it would have been, but it was on course to be even a faster lap than Soapbox. So yeah, Sergio's really dialed in here at Monza.
Yeah, as Alpha Kevin gets a lap time on the board, 3/10 improvement frame, goes up into P5. 3 thousandths of a second ahead of Man Like in 6th place. Alpha Kevin popping up into P5, good lap there from him. Boyolulu, 2.5 seconds down on his lap time. He's going to be coming into the pit side for sure. Sam invalidated at 10th up on his lap time. Soapbox on an in lap, and now we have the calm before the storm, Quinn.
Yeah, if it was real life or if Ghosting wasn't on, then you'd be seeing everyone waiting until the very last minute to go out on their laps. And hunting for a slipstream, of course. The slipstream's just a little bit too strong here with unghosted cars, so yeah.
Well,
as that is Alpha Kevin, who's retired in the pits, and that's his qualifying session done.
yeah, absolutely. And in terms of like lap times, you know, I mean, I am shocked that Mikela is down in 10th right now, because obviously his pace since coming into F4 just a few short races ago. Remember, he's picked up 2 wins in the past 3 races and a 3rd place finish, so he has yet to finish off the podium since making his debut for this season at Jeddah. He's been on incredible form. He's an outside shout to be in the championship fight, but Sergio has been on incredible form. Soapbox has had a bit of a wobble, and considering the gap that Soapbox had, he'll be very thankful that he had that gap early on, because the past couple of races it has not gone Soapbox's way.
Yeah, it really hasn't. And honestly, I'd be surprised if Sergio even decides to go out and do another lap, but he is. So maybe he still thinks that there's time to find.
I think he knows that it can never, you can never count your chickens, especially in PSGL F4. You never know what can happen. How many times have we seen pole position change right at the end of the session? Solax is going to be the first car to get us underway for the final laps here, as I believe the next one crossing the line is going to be Mikela in behind. So we'll make sure that we hop back and forth to make sure that we can see how both of them are getting on in terms of their progress on this lap, as Solax yet to get a lap time on the board, so 26.1 in the first sector, and we're going to compare that with Mikela who is currently on a 19 flat, but is looking to find big improvements on his final run here.
Yeah, he is, and Mika, I didn't quite see what his first
26-2.
sector split was.
26-2 there for Mikela, so a little bit slower than Solax in the first sector. As Solax now, middle sector split to 52.4, so we'll come back now to Mikela to see if he's gained any time in the middle sector. Marginally up in sector 1 is Mikela. Let's see if he's got any more in the middle sector. He's over a 10th up now in the middle sector. 52.2 in the middle sector to come through Ascari. We'll transfer it back over to Solax now as he comes to the line. Solax to the line, and it's going to be P12 for Solax. Mikela though, coming through Parabolica for the final time here in qualifying. Mikela, he was the race winner last time out. Is he going to get himself up there? It's P3 for Mikela, 3.5 tenth improvement in the end for Mikela, as Soapbox, marginal improvement in the first sector, half a second improvement in the second sector, as we got Sergio in the first sector. He's a little bit down, but we'll transfer it back over to Soapbox here as he comes down, heading down in towards Parabolica for the final time here in qualifying. Soapbox through Parabolica, he'll go 5th gear, the gear of choice for the championship leader. Is he going to be able to find the time in the final sector as he crosses the line? It's going to be marginal improvements. He's on the front row, but for how much longer? Sam marginally up in the first sector. Man Like 2 tenths up. This could be threatening for Soapbox. Man Like coming through Parabolica now. Can Man Like get himself onto the front row? Man Like to the line, and it's going to be P2 for Man Like. Anyone going to be able to contend with
Sam is
that?
1.5 tenths up. He could be someone. Oh, Boy Lulu puts himself up in second. Sam could spoil the party here as he was 1.5 tenths up. Going through the second sector. What time will it be? It's a 1:18.4. Solax is on an in-lap here, but yeah, it was going to be a front row start for, well, Man-like, or even it was Soapbox at one point, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it was Soapbox.
Soapbox is in P5 now. He's on the third row.
Yet the championship leader, seeing his nearest championship rival absolutely dominate the procedures here in qualifying. An 18.2 for Sergio puts him on pole position, but late in the session, EVE Sam, GT10, Boyo Lulu and Man Like putting themselves in between Sergio and Soapbox. Sergio will be absolutely thrilled with that. Soapbox, I think, will be very frustrated with that qualifying, as we got the legend that is James Head in the chat saying good evening to you, sir, and we'll run you through the order here in F4. It is Sergio who will be starting from pole position, a 118.2 there for Sergio. Sam will be joining him on the front row, with the second row being contended with Boyo Lulu and Man Like. The championship leader Soapbox here in P5 with Mikela in P6, Felix 1 in P7 with Alpha Kevin in P8, Ismail P9 and Lundo rounding out the top 10. Outside the top 10 we have Santero, ASRT Kevin, Solax, and then of course we got Dennis, who will be starting from the back after being unable to get a lap time on the board, as I believe we'll be going for a lobby time. But Quinn, what a qualifying session that was. Things did change very late in the session, which is why we did see Sergio go out on track to make sure that he kept the top spot. But for Soapbox, it all fell apart in the end of qualifying for him.
Yeah, it did, and yeah, it was a very dominant session from Sergio early on, and he didn't really need to improve once he set the 18.2, as he was nearly 2.5 tenths clear of second place. And yeah, I'm quite surprised to see, well, what's been not quite a downfall, but a little bit of inconsistency creeping in for Ismail. As earlier on in the season, he was seen as one of the championship contenders, and now he's not really been as consistent in the last few races. He hasn't shown that consistency that he showed right at the start of the season.
Let's have a quick reminder before we go to break of the championship standings. So there you go, Soapbox leading the way, 12 points a gap between himself and Sergio. The last two races, well, last three races you could say, Sergio has been in incredible form, of third place, a first place and a second place finish in the last 3 rounds. Meanwhile, Soapbox P6 in Jeddah, P9 in Mexico, and then no points for him last time out in Spa. But of course, arguably the person on the best form coming into tonight's race is Mikela, who will be starting from P6 just behind Soapbox with 2 victories and of course a third place finish in Mexico. He's coming in with the best form, and we're going to see exactly what these guys are made of, because the championship is starting to heat up, and it's starting to heat up because of the bit of a downfall that we're seeing from Soapbox as it currently stands, and the uprising from Sergio, and of course Mikela coming into the equation as well. Guys, we will be back in just a moment's time after a word from our sponsors. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, again, having another little look at the Drivers' Championship. Soapbox leading the way, 12 points ahead of Sergio, who's been in fine form. Sergio 15 points clear of the next car in behind him, and as of course Boyo Lulu currently in third place, Mikela in fourth, and then of course we got Alpha Kevin in fifth, Ismail in sixth, Man Like in seventh. 8th place for Santero, Reese in 9th, and then of course Joris Likes Food rounding out the top 10. Lorenzino in 11th, for Sem in 12th, ASRT Kevin in 13th, Federico Spriga in 14th, then of course 15th we got EVE Sam, and 16th we got Dennis, 17th Fleddy Niels in 18th, Solax in 19th, then of course we got Tio completing the top 20, Alex Gamer, Lundo, Sam Van Marazin, Betsky, Grav Road, Snipes and Mentors complete the remaining 7 drivers that have competed here this season thus far. And just looking at the season, just like how everything has laid out here, Quinn, obviously Soapbox throughout the first half of the season incredibly consistent, other than the one race in Miami, which was of course round 2, where it just did not go well for him at all with a P9 finish. He has been incredibly consistent, but now we're starting to get to the crunch time of the season, and we're starting to see some inconsistencies come into Soapbox's game.
Yeah, definitely. Of course, the last 2 races not scoring, it's put a massive dent in his championship hopes. Of course, it was getting close to 2 race wins, the gap between himself and second, and now it's less than 1 race win. So, yeah, it's definitely hindered him not scoring in the last 2, but like we've seen in the past, he can definitely recover from an uncharacteristic starting position.
Yeah, absolutely. And who will ever forget what he did in Hungary, round number 5, where, of course, he just made his way through the field and was just so incredibly consistent throughout that entire race, and was able to take the win in the end. Of course, one of 3 drivers, I should say, that have picked up 2 race wins this season, of course, being Soapbox, Sergio, and of course, Mikela. In terms of those that have picked up multiple race wins this season, I want to bring my attention as well. So the man currently in 7th place, of course, Man Like man, like, other than the race win in Spain and, of course, the podium finish in Japan, he has definitely shown the pace to be up there. But again, it's been too inconsistent for man like. It's been up and down for him. And honestly, what do you think he needs to end this season strongly?
Oh, sorry. I didn't quite hear the question.
For
so.
man like, what do you think he needs to end this season strongly? Because he's shown pace to be up there, but it's been a little bit inconsistent for him. What do you think he needs for the final 3 rounds to end this season strongly?
He just needs to he just needs to get in the groove a bit in terms of race pace. Like, yeah, the qualifying, in this tier, the qualifying really sort of sets the tone for the races. But for Mikela, he needs to get, he needs to get back into the groove of his race pace and just capitalize on people's mistakes, really. He just needs to not overcomplicate things and just concentrate on his own race.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a great circuit to really do that at the track in question. Of course, it's the Temple of Speed. It is Monza, 5.7 kilometers, 3.599 miles in length. 2 DRS zones, one down towards the first chicane, one down in towards Ascari at turn 8. And is dubbed the Temple of Speed because of the nature of the circuit, the high speed of which you can reach around the track like this. Key overtaking opportunities into the Rettifidio chicane, into the Della Rocha chicane, in towards Ascari with the help of DRS, and of course the run down in towards Parabolica, the final corner, where I'm expecting to see several overtakes happen out there on track. Quinn, obviously, a track like this, to me, getting the chicanes right, the Rettifidio and the Della Rocha, are so incredibly important, not only in terms of qualifying, but also in terms of the race, because you can really light up the rear tyres coming through the Rettifidio, for example, light up the rear tyres and just lose a few tenths there, maybe you have a snap at the rear end. And obviously for the Della Rocha, it's all about the line you take through it and trying to not take too much of the curb that it unsettles your car. How important do you think those 2 chicanes are going to be for the drivers out there on track?
Yeah, it's going to be very, very important, of course. Well, never mind. As we get to 5 red lights.
So the action out on track, the 5 red lights are out and we are underway here for Monza, and it is a very good start there for Sergio Sam under a bit of pressure in behind. Man like up into P3 already as he's side by side with Boyolulu coming through the Rettifidio chicane, and Boyolulu able to hold off Man like through the first chicane, but Man like still on the inside line coming through Curvagonde, and he'll draw alongside, get a little bit ahead as we head towards the break-in for the Della Rocha chicane, as Man like will be ahead and he'll have P3. Soapbox here holding on to P5. Felix getting himself ahead of Mikela nice and early on there. So Felix 1 up into P6, Mikela in P7. Alpha Kevin there holding on to P8 as we're seeing a bit of a battle going on right now between Kevin and Santero as they are side by side running down towards the Ascari chicane. Who's going to come out on top here between the pair of them? I think there might have been a little bit of contact between the pair as it looks like it is going to be Santero is going to hold on. And in fact, let's have a look at the tyre strategies from everyone out there on track right now. And everyone other than Mikela and Kevin have opted for the medium compound tyres. Of course, Mikela and Kevin opting for the set of the hard compound tyres.
Yeah, like we've seen before with Soapbox. Soapbox in the past went for the alternate strategy and ended up winning the race. And we're sort of seeing that with Mikela and Kevin here. They're potentially going for an alternate strategy as Mikela's just made up a position on Felix, but he's got a bit of a gap to make up to get onto the back of Soapbox. But yeah, Mikela finding himself in a good position to potentially make up some ground on an alternate strategy.
Yeah, potentially, and the crucial thing for Mikela around here is going to be making sure he stays within DRS range early on. Someone that has already broken DRS range though is Sergio. He's already a second clear of Sam as we are coming towards the middle sector split on sector 2.
Yeah, Sergio, of course, he showed his pace in the qualifying session, and I believe before we started this race I had a look at the qualifying results from the F2 race, and even then I think he would have been on the front row in the F2 race, so he's showing a lot of pace here, especially one lap pace, and he's showing it in the race pace as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Sergio, a man on a mission to pick up the championship as Man-like gets himself up into P2. Man-like moving up the order, and Boyo Lulu, big send down the inside, runs deep though, and that's going to allow Sam to come back at him around the outside on the exit. And
Man-like has found himself in P2 from the resulting dive bomb of Boyo Lulu. Sam has dropped down, as well as Boyo Lulu. Sidebox finds himself in 4th, and Man-like, well, he's nearly broken DRS back to Sam.
Yeah, Man-like almost a second clear, but Sam just within that range, so he will close back up. Soapbox, so taking advantage of Boyo Lulu's dive where he ran way too deep into the Retafilio chicane, and now of course compromised him on the exit. Soapbox able to take advantage of that, up in the P4, goes to championship leader, and this is exactly what Soapbox needs to do. He needs to take advantage of these guys. He might not have the pace to match up to Sergio over the course of the entire race, as you just spotted something there in the background, I'm assuming.
Alpha Kevin absolutely sent it on Felix, and now Luno's got past him. Luno's going side by side with Alpha Kevin now, and he sends it on Alpha Kevin. Absolute chaos here, but yeah, Alpha Kevin's dive nearly caught the back of Me Killer, and all this battling is nearly causing them to be outside of DRS range. There's looking to be 3 wide going into turn 1. Don't do this. Thank you. Thank you very much for Luno. Still through on 7th place as Felix, yeah, he lost 2 positions, well, nearly 2 positions there, but Alpha Kevin's a really big loser here, dropping behind Ismail into P10.
I'll tell you what, Man-like has just somehow got himself back within a second, momentarily on Sergio, but a little bit of a mistake through the De La Rocha chicane, and he's back outside the 1 second. But Man-like is pushing hard to try and get back within a second of Sergio in this race, and he does seem to have the pace to actually be able to compete with Sergio here in race pace, as it currently stands.
Yeah, it definitely seems like he does, and maybe he was listening to the stream before the race started, because I was saying he needs to get back in the groove and find his race pace. Of course, I said he needs to capitalise on mistakes, and lo and behold, he capitalised on the mistake from Boyo Lulu. He finds himself in P2.
Man-like was able to get the move done on Sam on the run down in towards the Retafilio chicane. Boyo Lulu tried to follow Man-like through, but of course went too deep in towards turn number 1 as we got Soapbox and get the move done on Sam, side by side into the first chicane. Inside line for Soapbox, outside line for Sam. Sam hung out to dry as we saw Mikela trying to get the job done as well on Boyo Lulu and potentially on Sam as well, but Mikela on the exit just wasn't able to get the move done, and now it is Soapbox up into the podium position, right behind Man-like here.
Yeah, Soapbox is slowly making his way up into, well, he's slowly making his way through the field, and yeah, in a provisional podium position. It's looking good, but someone who's having a relatively quiet race, but is steadily going along is Me Killer on the hards. Of course, the longer the race goes on, the faster, well, the crossover between the tyres. But as I'm saying this, Alpha Kevin and Solax go side by side, but Alpha Kevin does get the move done going into Ascari chicane, and the gap is now 1.6 seconds from Sergio to Man-like. Seeing if there's any close battles on track. Is mainly just Boyo Lulu on the back of Sam,
and Soapbox
really pushing him along, and Me Killer as well. Soapbox getting past on Man-like, but Boyo Lulu potentially looking for a move on Sam. side by side through, but Sam has the inside line, squeezes him to the apex. A better exit for Boyolulu. And it opens the door for potentially Mikela to come through, and he does.
And Mikela's going to go around the outside.
Mikela's on a roll here. He's really showing the overspeed he has, and on the hard tyres, he's up into P4.
Brilliant from Mikela. Double overtake there through Curva Grande, able to get the job done on Sam and Boyolulu, and is still within DRS range of the guys up ahead, so we'll have the ability to defend from the likes of Boyolulu and Sam in behind now. Mikela on those hard tyres, it will come to a point where the hards will become the better tyre, and I think we're not too far away from that potentially being the case pretty soon. It seems like Mikela now is in a rhythm around this circuit. 1.4 is the gap between Soapbox and Sergio. Sergio leading this way as we're about to come on to lap number 7, and in my opinion this gap is not enough for Sergio to be able to fend off Mikela at the end of this race.
Yeah, well, it depends on what sort of strategy Mikela wants to go for. If he goes for a hard medium, it's going to be very difficult. But look in the background, I believe that was Luno trying to get a move done on Felix. A little bit of contact between the two, and I think that is Dennis just slightly ghosting between. There's some ghosting now, but Dennis going for an outside line, carrying more speed than he gets through on both Luno and Felix. But still, Luno and Felix are fighting it out and going through the chicane. It all just calms down a little bit, but look at Soapbox within the 1 second, goes a little bit wide there, but he gets the DRS. This is the first time since DRS was in it. Oh, I don't think anyone's actually got DRS on the back of Sergio until now, so Soapbox really pushing the pace. Maybe Sergio's just gone a bit too hard, a bit too early on these medium tyres.
Yeah, potentially, as it looks like Soapbox now putting the foot to the floor and trying to get into the back of his championship rival in Sergio, and trying to get himself back into the position where the championship is again in his hands. Of course, 3 races to go, including the race that we're currently at. Soapbox has a gap of, I believe it was 14 points or 12 points coming into tonight's race. It was 12 points coming into tonight's race actually, and a win here for Soapbox will give him a bit of flexibility coming into the penultimate round next week, and we're going to see if Sergio is going to be able to spoil the party, close the gap out a bit more and make things spicy. Mikela though up in the P3 now on those hard compound tyres, as he's got himself ahead of Man Light, so the hards now coming into play, and the DRS train is beginning to split as Dennis is now 1.5 seconds off the back of Boyolulu. So we've got the top 5 have broken away from the rest of the field, and Dennis from last on the grid is up in the P6 right now. So Peter in the chat saying Dennis is going to cook. Dennis is indeed cooking right now. He's up in the P6.
Yeah, he does have the 3-second penalty to contend with, and within a tier that is this close on pace, you could see him drop straight back to last place if he's not careful. But just wanted to say a quick thing on Mikela on the hards. If he decides,
Sergio's in.
That's Sergio's in already. 10-second penalty.
Sergio too hot into the pit lane. 10-second time penalty for him, and that is horrendous for Sergio in his hopes of getting a big result here. And that
honestly makes me think that it was a last-minute decision to go into the pits.
I think it was a last-minute decision. I think he saw that with Mikela and Soapbox being as close as they were, potentially he could have ended up in P3 by the time they got to the break-in for the Retifidio chicane. But right now, Soapbox, the championship leader, leads the race versus the most informed driver at the moment in this championship, and that is Mikela.
Of course, on the last game, this strategy that Mikela's doing was the preferred strategy, and everyone started on the hards. But now, everyone on the mediums, he's on the hards. He will be looking to potentially go to maybe if he's going to go to the mediums, maybe 17 or 18, and then pit for the mediums. Of course, I'd imagine around about 1 or 2 laps time is where we will see the crossover of the hards being the faster tyre.
The soapbox is in.
But look at that, soapbox is in, so potentially we could see Mikula go another 10 laps on these hard tyres before having to pit. But yeah, pitting so early, if you're Mikula, you just got to stay out, really. You don't want to be forced into an early stop, and he's not going to, being on the hard tyres.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to see what was preferred right there, the undercut or the overcut. Sergio now, is he going to be able to get the jump on soapbox coming out of the pit lane? I think he has just about. Yep, there we go. Sergio just ahead of soapbox on the pit lane exit. But Sergio, that 10-second time penalty, that is really going to come back to cost him, I think, in this race.
Yeah, it really is. Unless we get a safety car and he's able to serve it, then he's really going to be just at the back of the grid, along with potentially Dennis.
It's going to be interesting. Obviously, Santero there getting through on Felix 1 there, up in the P6 goes Santero. It's going to be very interesting because even if Sergio does come in and serve his time penalty under a safety car, he'll still drop down towards the back. Then he's got to risk it for the chocolate biscuit and go for the overtakes and try and carve his way for the field to get himself back up into a top position. As Dennis, 10-second time penalty. Santero, 10-second time penalty. And we are seeing multiple drivers just getting their braking wrong on the pit lane entry. And that is the third driver of which now we've seen pick up a 10-second time penalty for speeding into the pit lane.
Yeah, not sure. I think people are just misjudging the braking going into the pits. And yeah, it's not been great showing for everyone in this deal. Of course, Dennis already had the 3-second time penalty. And now he's got, he had a 3-second time penalty already, and now he's got a another 10 seconds on top of that. And Santero, yeah, he's got the 10 seconds. So Sergio, Dennis, and Santero will all potentially see themselves at the back of the grid.
Yeah, not just that. I mean, Sam at one point was up there, fighting with the podium runners in this race. He's now behind Dennis in this race.
Yeah, but look at the battle for, the provisional lead. Never mind, Manlike is in and Boyalulu's in. So Boyalulu gets a 10 seconds. What is going on?
As Lando picks up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, but we are seeing numerous drivers misjudging their braking zones into the pit lane, and this is just not ideal for any of these guys out on track, as Sergio and Soapbox will be promoted up into P3 and P4 respectively, and the gap between them and Mikula is around 21 seconds at this current stage in the race.
Yeah, you'd think that if Mikula's going on to the medium tyres, he'd be kind of hoping that there's a safety car really in the next 4 or 5 laps, I'd say, or maybe 3 laps. In the next 3 laps, I think he'd be able to take the mediums to the end, with potentially a safety car being out there for at least a lap or 2. You can use that to get the mediums up to temperature.
Well,
and then have maybe 9 or 10 laps to go to the end. So
I mean,
if there is a late safety car, he could be looking at laps, 15, 16. He would be in a very good position.
Yeah, he absolutely would. If a safety car is deployed, Mikula, with the gap he's got, should be able to come into the pits, put on a fresh set of mediums and be perfectly fine to get to the end. The thing is, I don't think he minds too much if a safety car does come out or not, because if he was to pit, let's say lap 16, right now he's probably looking at that gap around Man Like Boyolulu region, and on the quicker medium tyres, he should be able to dispatch those two relatively easy and pull away from him just as quickly, given the tyre advantage plus the tyre life advantage that he'll have. And we could be seeing Mikela late into this race attacking Soapbox, because Sergio right now with that 10-second time penalty is a non-factor in this race at this moment in time.
Yeah, definitely is, and Mikela's he's just got to pick the right time to pit in for mediums. He's got to, well, around this track is about 20-ish seconds to, well, yeah, about 20 seconds you lose in the pits, maybe even less. So with a 19.5-second gap that he's got at the moment, and it looks like it's closing quite quickly. Looks like, yeah, he's going to be coming out potentially in that gap between Boyolulu and Manlike if he was going to pit, well, in the next lap or two.
Yep, as we got Dennis getting through on Sam. Up in the P7 goes Dennis. Santero gets through on Alpha Kevin. Up in the P9 goes Santero. Lap 14 of 27. Mikela leading the way, yet to make his first pit stop in the race. 6 seconds ahead of ASRT Kevin, who is also yet to make a pit stop. Then of course we got Sergio, who is currently in third place. He's made his pit stop, he's going to the end, but he has a 10-second time penalty to his name. Soapbox, in what I would say right now is a net race lead with that time penalty for Sergio. The championship leader in a good spot right now, and I think what Soapbox is doing is saving up a bit of battery and going to try to get past Sergio, use that battery to get out of the 1 second window and then try and pull away. But I think he might have made a mistake. Mikela's in. Mikela's in, and Sam with a 3 second time penalty. Alpha Kevin with a 3 second time penalty. Let's see where Mikela is going to come out relative to the likes of Manlike and of course Boyolulu as we come through Parabolica with Soapbox and Sergio. Sergio will move up into P2 in this race, Soapbox into P3, and we're going to see where Mikela is going to come out to. Manlike coming down the start finish straight, he's going to jump ahead of him. Boyolulu, and he has come out into that gap, but Boyolulu with the overspeed, is he going to be able to challenge into the red video? No, he's not. So Mikela comes out in a net P4 on fresh medium compound tyres, and now we're going to see the pace of Mikela.
Yeah, he's got a nice bit of clean air ahead of him, 2.7 seconds to Manlike ahead. But he does have Boyolulu to contend with, and of course the guy who's fighting for the race win, which right now would be Soapbox. He's got a 5-lap tyre advantage on him, so potentially maybe a little bit too early for Mikela to come in, because by the end of the stint you'd imagine his tyres would be they'll be on their last legs a bit, but that is a safety car.
That's a safety car deployed.
It is a safety car.
Kevin is going to gain massively out of this.
I don't think he will stay in the lead. He may stay in the lead, but
does Sergio and Soapbox come into the pits? Do they dive in for a
Sergio,
mediums?
I think everyone's going to be coming in. I don't think Mikela will, because he's just pitted.
Yep, everyone's in.
Which is the worst timing for him. It's the worst timing.
Potentially, but I think Mikela is going to come into the race lead regardless, as he will overtake Kevin.
Actually.
So there we go. Mikela will come back out ahead into the race lead. Mikela, see, good going from him. Soapbox now up into P3. Sergio, after serving that 10 second, is falling down to P7 in this race. Actually, it'll be P6 as he overtakes Dennis here. But now Sergio has to overtake Sam Manlike to get onto the back of Soapbox again in this race.
But yeah, with this safety car, of course, Sam has the 3 second time penalty. So, well, Dennis, Alpha Kevin, Solak, San Luno all have 3 second time penalties. So Sergio at the moment looking at, well, a net P5 with Sam's penalty, but with his pace that he's shown, he's still in contention for a potential race win.
Yeah, absolutely. And heartbreak there for Felix 1, being the first and only DNF of the race thus far. Santero, he's currently down in P13, but no penalty to his name, so right now he would jump up to P9 once everyone has bunched up again. This will actually help Mikela's tyres. Obviously, you mentioned about how they could potentially go off at the end of the race. I think Mikela will be a little bit thankful now the safety car has come out, just because it'll take away that effect, and with everyone essentially on the same tyre life right now, other than Mikela, who might be a % or two above everyone else, because of course the safety car was deployed when he was coming through the middle sector. It's going to be interesting to see who is going to come out on top in terms of the pace here. ASRT Kevin, though, could be Mikela's best friend in the situation, or he could be his worst enemy in the situation. Because how hard does Kevin fight now?
Well, he's found himself in a position where he's fighting for a race win, so you'd imagine that he's going to do everything he can to try and get it. So I think he's going to fight incredibly hard on the restart.
And of course, for Kevin, I mean, he's shown that pace at certain tracks so far this season. Obviously, around here, he was about 6 seconds off of Mikela, so I don't think he's got the raw pace to keep up with the likes of Mikela, Soapbox, man like Sergio, and of course Boyolulu in this race. But he's in position right now where, as long as he can somewhat stay on the back of Mikela to try and keep that DRS, but also to make things difficult for the likes of Soapbox, man like in behind, maybe try and back Soapbox into man like, get those two to fight. Kevin could be absolutely a key pivotal factor right now in how things are going to go over the rest of the season in terms of the championship. Because Mikela right now, if he was to take another race win, I mean, that'd be his third race win out of the 4 races he has partaked in, and the safety car is in this lap. Soapbox right now is his eyes are only glued to one man and one man only, and that is Sergio in P6. But if Mikela with a race win here, if Soapbox doesn't get onto the back of Kevin and get this job done early, we could be seeing a late charge on Mikela to potentially get into that championship fight at the end of the season. But Mikela backing up the pack now, getting ready for the safety car restart, and I'm on board with Kevin as we are going to see who is going to come out on top here in Monza. It is 10 laps to go in this race, and Mikela has gone. He has got us underway on the safety car restart, and he has got a fantastic gap to Kevin through Parabolica, and it should be all good for Mikela coming down in towards the Retafilio chicane. But it looks like Kevin, maybe a slippier car in a straight line, closing in somewhat, but not close enough to make a move. Meanwhile, Sergio making a move on Sam, realizing that he has to get these moves done ASAP, and he's on the back of man like now. Alpha Kevin getting the job done on Dennis. Sorry, maybe that was Boyolulu getting the job done on Alpha Kevin. Up into P8 goes Alpha Kevin as he is, up in the P8 goes Boyolulu, who is now on the back of Ismo for P7. Another driver I think has had a bit of a torrid time through the midway stage of this season. Ismo, at one point he was a championship protagonist, now finds himself languishing in the midfield in the Drivers' Championship, but definitely a driver that has some raw pace about him. Meanwhile,
look at a gap already.
Yeah, Mikela, I was about to bring attention to that. Mikela building that gap early on, and this is what I was saying about the overall pace difference between Alexa Kevin and Mikela from what we've seen in the first stint around this circuit. It is Mikela that is pulling that gap almost to a second on the first lap of the safety car restart, and Soapbox closing up to the back of Kevin, and he's bringing Man-like and Sergio for toe.
He's already broken the DRS.
Oh, here comes Man-like on Soapbox. Man-like going to look to get the move done on the run down in towards the Retafilio, and it could be a double overtake. It's going to be 2 for the price of 1 for Man-like up in the P2. Soapbox, that's a little peek on the outside.
Squeezed him.
But the Soapbox
Kevin squeezed out.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off, but Kevin absolutely squeezed out Soapbox. So Man-like secures a P2, and now Kevin is holding up Soapbox.
Yeah, and this is big for not only Mikela, but also for Man Like as well. We mentioned how he
But
needs to
look
get a good result here. And
Look who's
Soapbox,
directly behind Soapbox.
Soapbox now under pressure from his championship rival in Sergio. 12 points separating these two coming into tonight. Soapbox needs to make sure he finishes ahead of Sergio. And the question is, will he be able to? That is the big question here tonight at the Temple of Speed. Soapbox versus Sergio. As you got Mikela extending the gap up ahead. In fact, actually no, Man Like is actually closing that gap. I do apologise. Man Like closing the gap, but look at Sergio. Sergio is going to be free wide into Parabolica. As Sergio's on the inside, Kevin around the outside, and Soapbox, big lock up there for Soapbox. He's going to be under huge pressure now from Sam, as they've gone horribly wrong here. Again, for Soapbox, the championship leader, falling down the order. Here goes Sam, up in the P5, and Sergio now into P3 in this race. Mikela overtaken by Man Like into the race lead here on lap 20. Man Like into the race lead. Mikela in second place, Sergio now in third, Kevin in fourth, Sam in fifth, Soapbox now down into sixth place as Ismail and Boyolulu battling out for seventh and eighth place respectively between those two. And this is where things are going to get a little bit desperate, I think, now, Quinn, as Soapbox needs to get the move done on Sam and Kevin ASAP.
Yeah, it really does. And just look at the gap. He's practically pushing Sam through Lesmo number 2, and yeah, he's really trying to rush him into, well, just trying to rush him a bit. He isn't going to be able to get a move into the Ascari chicane, but he's got Boyolulu on the back of him as well to worry about. But yeah, Soapbox has played himself into a really tough position here, but Sergio potentially just making himself known to Mikela, really getting an amazing exit out of the Parabolica, practically on Mikela's gearbox. And yeah,
and here comes
following
Sergio
very closely here, Sergio. He could potentially be trying to line up a double overtake here, but he's just not that close. But into P2 goes Sergio, an excellent run. But yeah, Soapbox still in P6 is not what he wants to see. But Mikela, what looked to be an excellent strategy call with the safety car coming out when it did, it sort of ruined his strategy because everyone else has switched to the mediums.
Yeah, absolutely. And what we're going to see now is, I mean, this is what I'm thinking what Mikela is going to do right now. He's just going to sit in behind, save up the battery, let these two up ahead of him squabble, let them two fight, and then he's going to time it towards the end of this race to really push the pair of them using the battery that he does have. The issue that he's going to have is, as I see, we've had a little bit of a lag moment between Man Like and Sergio, a little bit of ghosting going on there. Hopefully that wasn't on my end in terms of the stream. I haven't seen any frames drop.
To me as well.
Okay, fantastic. But now ASRT Kevin also into the mix, as these guys are pretty much front wing to rear wing running down the start finish straight. Lap 22 or 27. Man Like is going to be overtaken by Sergio and by Mikela on the run down in towards turn number 1, the Redifleo chicane. Sergio runs deep through the first part of the chicane, but was able to cover off on the second part of the chicane. And now Man Like down to P3 in this race. Soapbox still in behind Sam. He knows he's going to jump him on the penalties, but this is not good for Soapbox. I believe in terms of the championship, I think my math serves me correctly, like the gap will pretty much be halved at this point.
Yeah, it will be, but if I am Mikela, I'm just hoping that I can stay behind Sergio and stay within the DRS and potentially get a move done. But Man Like is thinking otherwise as he finds himself up into second place in this race. And if I'm Man Like or Mikela, whoever's in second place, I just got to be thinking that either of them, up until lap 26, you just want to stay as close as you can within DRS of Sergio, because you're going to want to get that move done essentially on, well, the second last lap or even the last lap into Ascari. But 120.5. But that is Luno and Sovak's round at Parabolica.
Soapbox through, up in the P5 goes Soapbox,
Oh,
gets the job done.
contact.
As up ahead, you mentioned contact there. I think that's man like Nicola and Sergio getting very close to each other. Man like and Sergio essentially almost locking wheels.
Sergio outbroke himself a little bit and hit the back of Mikela, and of course Sergio and Manlike were locking tyres and bumping, well, wheels. But yeah, Sergio just outbroke himself a little bit and hit into the back of Mikela. But Solak's retired in the pit lane, which is so unfortunate, of course. As I mentioned, both himself and Luno had a moment around Parabolica.
I mean, as it currently stands, just give you a quick update of how the championship will look as it currently stands. Obviously, coming into tonight, it was a 12-point gap. Sergio got pole position, and he currently has the fastest lap. He'll be taking 14 points out of tonight's race if things were to stay as they are, with Soapbox taking 6 points. So that's an 8-point gain, meaning that it'll be 4 points between the top two in the Drivers' Championship if things were to stay as they are right now.
Yeah, but Sergio's getting very close, as well as Manlike and Kevin. We could see Mikela drop here down to 4th place. But he's not able to. He only drops down to 3rd, with Kevin just not being close enough. But Sam and Boyolulu side by side on the exit of turn 2, but Boyolulu gets the move done. As Soapbox has fallen away a little bit from the back of Kevin. But yeah, still is anyone's race. But Sam is really starting to drop down now. He's dropped down from, I believe it was 5th about 2 or 3 laps ago, now down into 8th. So he's not having a good time out there. But Mikela, with the 1 lap older tyres, obviously pitted 1 lap before the safety car came out, it's going to be interesting to see how his tyres fare at the end of the stint compared to the others.
Well, to my knowledge, I believe Mikela's tyres are only going to be it's going to be less than 5% worn versus the rest of the grid. So I don't think it's like a massive difference between the tyres right now. Mikela, though, might be thinking, okay, I just need to drive a little bit smoother for like half a lap, and then I'm kind of golden with the rest of the grid in terms of the tyres. Meanwhile, Sergio is pulling away from Manlike, and that is not good for either Manlike or Mikela in this race. ASRT Kevin, though, doing very, very well right now, and he is keeping in the mix as looks like Sergio side by side with Mikela. The teammates battle here in Monza, and here comes Kevin. Kevin up in the P3, and he gets the better traction on the exit. Up in the P3 goes ASRT Kevin, and that is what Sergio would have wanted. He definitely would have wanted Kevin in between himself and his teammate in behind. But now Kevin, he's going to be trying to put Sergio under pressure here as he tries to get himself into a race-winning position.
But now, if I'm Sergio, I don't go for the overtake on this main straight, and I go for it on the next lap.
The thing is, if he doesn't go for it, he's susceptible to Kevin.
If he can, yeah, well, in my mind, if he can stay behind Manlike going onto the next lap, onto the last lap, he can get the move done down the pit straight and just defend. We can play it sort of the chicken, playing a game of chicken for DRS.
We are going to see what's going to happen here, ladies and gentlemen, as we are about to head on to the penultimate lap of the race. Manlike leads the way, Sergio in 2nd place, ASRT Kevin in 3rd, Mikela in 4th. But here comes ASRT Kevin down the inside in towards the Retafilio chicane as it's side by side as Manlike
has gone on. 10-second penalty.
10-second time penalty for Manlike in this race, and
this could be big for Kevin.
This could be huge for Kevin, as Mikela's got
Kevin can stay. If Kevin can stay in P2, he's
Sergio's
not gonna.
This is a game of DRS chicken right now. As Mikela and Sergio, the teammates lock up on the exit. The Della Rocha chicane. Soapbox is through up in the P3, the championship leader. Alpha Kevin out of this race, but drama here. The teammates collide through the De La Rocha chicane. Soapbox, the championship leader, is through. Up in the P3 he goes. Technically a net P2 with man like time penalty. As Kevin, he's absolutely sliding through the Ascari chicane, and Kevin in prime position right now to take the race win, as long as he can get close enough to the back of man like, but he does have Soapbox close in behind. Will Soapbox be able to take the race victory here out of what looked like it was going to be a languishing P5? As Soapbox, is he going to be able to do enough to get himself into the net race lead? As we're going to see Kevin close up to man like, is he going to look for the move down the inside? No, he's going to sit in behind. In the chat, Sky Knight saying Sergio unlucky as yet the teammates collide. Mikela and Sergio both collide with each other on the exit of the De La Rocha chicane, and Soapbox, the championship leader, up ahead of the pair of them right now and extending that championship lead going into the penultimate round of the season, as Kevin right now is looking at the back of Manlike. Manlike does have a 10-second time penalty. Will he be able to get that removed though? We do not know. But for right now, Kevin is looking at a race win. His first race win of the season. Remember, ASRT Kevin yet to be on the podium so far this season. He's picked up a P4 finish in Miami. That is his best result of the season thus far. And on the rundown in towards Parabolica, he's going to overtake Manlike for the race lead. ASRT Kevin, is it going to be the first race victory for Kevin? Soapbox really pushing and hounding Manlike for the final corner, and it's going to be ASRT Kevin with a fantastic win here in Monza. Soapbox will come through the finish in P2, Mikela P3, Sergio P4, Boyolulu in P5, Ismail in P6, Santero P7, Dennis in P8, Sam in P9, Manlike from hero to 0 down in P10. That 10-second time penalty really did not help him, and I don't know if he's going to be able to get that removed, but if he does, he'll be looking at a P2 instead of P10. But Lundo, the last of the runners, coming through Parabolica now to end what has been a absolutely enthralling Italian Grand Prix here in front of the Tifosi. My. ASRT Kevin takes victory here at Monza. Driver of the day voted by the in-game fans. What a race.
I do have to say, it was a really smart move by Kevin, because if Manlike is able to get that 10 seconds removed, it doesn't matter. He's still going to win the race.
Absolutely, I know.
So he just didn't settle for the win, including the penalty. He wanted the win on track, so if he does get it removed, he's still got the win.
Exactly, and I think for Kevin, he is going to be absolutely buzzing with our win. Of course, the first time he has been on the podium this season, and it is the top step of the podium for ASRT Kevin. He was sitting P13 in the Drivers' Championship. P4 is best finishing position thus far this season at Miami, round 2. That's how long it's been for him. He's picked up a P9, P7, P7, P8 in the past 4 rounds since round 6 at Suzuka. But to here at the Temple of Speed, he picks up the victory, and I believe I'm not going to be able to see the finishing order because the game has decided to not let me to see that, which is unfortunate. Oh, maybe, no. Yep. But we will head back to the. Well, actually, what I'll do is I'll actually get the stream up and go back through the order, as I believe Sergio. I don't think I saw anyone get a faster lap than Sergio, so I will. For right now, provisionally, just to my knowledge, I believe Sergio has got himself the fastest lap of the race. I didn't see anyone go quicker, but it was ASRT Kevin taking victory ahead of the championship leader Soapbox, extending his lead in the championship in P2. Mikela was there in P3, completing the podium. Sergio in P4, Boyolulu in P5, Ismail P6, Santero in P7, Dennis in P8, EVE Sam in P9, Man Like completing the top 10 with, of course, Lundo in 11th place. And actually, it might be worth having a little look to see if Lundo did get himself the fastest lap, because he was on a set of softs at the end. So let me just have a little look and see. Yeah, Lundo did get the fastest lap in the end on the set of the soft tyres. So there we go, confirmed there by looking back on stream. But guys, what a race win that was for ASRT, Kevin. And I'm not going to lie, controversy in between the teammates here tonight, as it was Mikela and Sergio, the Aston Martin pairing, coming together in Monza on the exit of the De La Rocha chicane that cost the pair of them the opportunity of the race win here tonight. Quinn, I have no words, mate. I have no words.
Yeah, that was the finish of that race was just ridiculous. Of course, going that Man Like getting a 10-second penalty for the last lap where he just completely cut across turn 2. It's so unfortunate for Man Like, but there's no doubt he'll be going to the stewards to potentially do that.
Yeah, I'm wondering if Man Like was
potentially
expecting...
get it removed.
I wonder if Man Like was expecting someone on his inside, so he's tried to leave the room on the inside just in case someone is there, and he's just outbroken himself a bit. But we'll have to see. I mean, maybe it might be able to get removed, but even if it does, the race win will still go towards ASRT Kevin, and a fantastic result for him. Of course, he was 6 seconds behind Mikela before the safety car was deployed, and then once the safety car got deployed, he found himself in lofty heights in P2, and he was just able to stay behind and just make sure he could time his overtakes to perfection, and he was able to do that on the rundown in towards Parabolica. He gets the move done on Man Like out on track, and look, I'll say it, like, even though Man Like came in 10th at the moment provisionally, Man Like definitely has... He can walk away from this race with his head held high, considering what's called the pace he showed you. He was in it to win it all the way down to the final corner. So, I mean, Man Like can take a lot of confidence out of this race, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, he has everything to be proud about in that race. He showed excellent race pace. As I said before, he needs to show consistent race pace, and he did for the whole race. It was just that one mistake that he made on the final lap that took away a potential race win from himself. So he can hold his head high going into the last few races.
Yeah, absolutely. And look in the calendar, of course, we will be heading to Qatar for round number 11. Quinn, thoughts on Qatar?
It's going to be very tough for overtaking, and so qualifying is going to be very, very important here. Of course, with the nature of the track being mostly high-speed and medium-speed corners, track limits is going to be big. May well be an issue going into the race and potential invalidations in qualifying. But yeah, the only overtaking zones I can really see are down the pit straight and into turn 1. So yeah, you really got to make the most of the qualifying and potentially on the strategies as well.
Yep, Qatar is definitely going to be an interesting race. That is for sure, a very fast-flowing circuit. And we will be here next week to bring you the action there. But guys, F4, make sure you guys jump on over to F3 and F1, which are of course ongoing right now. I have been Michael Edwards. He has been Danny Quinn. We'll catch you next week for round number 11 at Qatar. Until then, guys, it is goodbye from the pair of us.
See you.